Okay, YouTubers, this is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for joining me on the Angry Truth channel. So, today's video, we're going to talk about the vaccine passport being passed in France. Now, why are we talking about France? Well, because France set the pace for the rest of the world. And we only know that because look what happened here in New York. Now, I wrote this video up a couple days ago. I didn't get around to it till today. But today, coincidentally, Mayor de Blasio announces that we have the vaccine passport, or rather the vaccine mandate for indoor activities. He dropped that today. So we're talking about France because those motherfuckers set the pace. And it wasn't the people of France, it was the fucking president of France and the scumbag politicians that backed him on this move to go ahead with the vaccine passport. France, along with other countries, have been protesting in the street damn near every day in the tens, if not hundreds of thousands. Right, or over 100,000, sorry, people protesting in the street against the vaccine passport. The vaccine passport is pretty much the end of civil liberties, because now, no matter where you go, you got to show this stupid ID to people, right? Or whether it's on your watch or your phone, you go and you got to scan it. And so now everywhere you go, you got to scan this fucking thing. Now, as of right now in France, it's just cinemas, cafes, restaurants, I think, and sporting events. It's not open to supermarkets, anything like that, which is good for now. But being that they set the pace, guys, here's the problem with the whole France vaccine passport. People were protesting in the streets, over 160,000 people in the streets protesting against this. The French decided to put on earmuffs and not listen to their people. Then, as they put on earmuffs and not listen to their people, they passed this regardless of what the people outside were saying and regardless of politicians who were against it. So they had politicians who weren't for this, and they had the people out, hundreds of thousands in the street, saying, we don't want this, this is not right, and they fucking turned a deaf ear to it, sorry. They turned a deaf ear to that. So according to the new law, guys, in France, you have to be fully vaccinated or test negative to go to, again, movie theaters, which they call cinemas, restaurants, cafes, swimming pools, museums, concerts, and sporting events. That's where you have to prove your vaccination and or COVID status. Show me your papers. You want in here, you want freedoms and funds? Show me your papers. Now, here's the kick in the balls. Businesses are not on board with this. A lot of them are not. I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them are not on board with this new law. But if they fail to implement it, they will face heavy fines for not being a part of the vaccine passport program in France. Guys, they're doing the same thing here in New York. It was as if the fucking French president called de Blasio and said, this is what you do. You tell your people, fuck freedom and fuck fun. We're in control now. And then people go along with it. So after the French president enacted this law, passed this law, along with the parliament, or whatever they call them in France, sort of like their version of Congress, passed this law, they saw an uptick in vaccination. So people were like, oh shit, no way, I like my fucking croissants. And they fucking ran to get a vaccine appointment, and they actually ran out of appointments because so many people were signing up. So instead of standing their ground and fighting harder, those people threw the towel in and ran to the vaccine and get the shot. At some point, guys, we, the people, are gonna have to drop the hammer. French, Britons, Australians, Italians, we're gonna have to drop that hammer sooner or later. Now, these new restrictions, guys, will definitely curtail or restrict the unvaccinated and what they do over there in France. But we're seeing that here in New York as well. We're seeing now that the unvaccinated can't do a lot of shit. Because again, he's not giving us a testing option to go to these restaurants and sporting events. You gotta be vaccinated, that's it. So he's restricting our movement here in the city, and it's only gonna get worse. And then obviously in France, it's gonna get worse over time because it'll phase into food shopping sooner or later. Now, the French president, I have to read this off the phone, but the French president, Emmanuel Macron, said this shit. Listen, what he said deserves a fucking punch in the face and a fucking swift kick in the dick. That is not the point. The point is, look at this bullshit he says. Everyone is free to express themselves calmly with respect to others. But freedom where I owe nothing to someone else does not exist. I'm pretty sure that sounds very, very familiar to some shit that Stalin had once said, right? Or Hitler for that matter. This is the fucking French president. This is what he evolved to, or de-evolved to. This asshole. Now, here's what de Blasio said, something similar here in New York City a couple weeks ago. If people want freedom, if people want jobs, if people want to be able to live again, we have to get more people vaccinated. So in turn, or what he is saying is that if you want to have fun and you want to live your life again and you want to have a job, we want you to get vaccinated. We need more people to get vaccinated, or you better get vaccinated. Now, Italy is following suit. Italy's doing the same thing. They're calling their passport the green passport. They did the same exact shit. And they're implementing it, I think, in the next couple of weeks. But Italy is going to reevaluate it in a couple months. But Italy is also keeping their state or country of emergency, if that makes sense, till December 31st. So from now to December 31st, guys, they're keeping their country in a state of emergency, which means that these guys can make any fucking laws and rules they want because the power relies on the Prime Minister of Italy. Now, the Prime Minister of Italy, Mario Draghi, if I'm saying that right, said this: an invitation to not get vaccinated is an invitation to die or let others die. That's some 0 to 60 fucking statement right there, guys. So that means he's like, well, if you don't want to get vaccinated, then you are going to die and you're going to let others die. That's exactly where you go with a virus with a 99.9% survival rate. Does that make sense? But this is where they're going. This is the narrative that they're building. This is why I think we're going to see another lockdown, because of shit like this. So, guys, that being said, the vaccine passport in France is a bad idea, but nonetheless, it's already started, and it started here in New York City today. So now France started that shit off. De Blasio's like, aha, I'll beat the fucking California governor by stating it now, and then he passes it. And it's funny because Cuomo didn't have anything to say about it, which Cuomo's up fucking de Blasio's ass. They hate each other. So the fact that Cuomo didn't say shit, that tells you that he's on board with this bullshit too. So guys, we are in a serious spot that's going to get a lot worse over the next couple months, if not next couple years. Anyway, guys, this is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching. You can like, subscribe to this channel. You can also follow me on all the social media shit in the description section below. And other than that, thank you for watching.